Many people have taken a hit financially during the pandemic, and holiday spending could be making it worse. Some will turn to loved ones for support when they have money troubles, but starting a conversation about debt can be difficult. And joining us now with some advice on helping someone dealing with debt is licensed insolvency trustee Blair Manson. Good morning, Blair. Great to see you.
Oh, good morning, Jason. Great to be here.
So what are some warning signs, Blair, that a loved one might be struggling financially?
Yeah, there's a few things to keep in mind, Jason. So, we often have people come in, it's a parent inquiring about a child or vice versa, or spouses concerned about the other. So sometimes it's obvious in your life someone's going through a bit of a financial crisis. And what's often the trigger is some sort of external event. So a lot of people, their finances are strained, but it dips into crisis when there's something like a job loss or a business interruption, like so many people are feeling these days with the pandemic. Sometimes it's a chronic illness, something that really impacts their ability to work. Sometimes it's just, the separation, marital breakdown, or even addiction issues. So there's a number of, really significant life issues that can trigger someone having a financial crisis.
So what is a good way to start a conversation then about debt? Because it could get awkward for some families.
Yeah, you want to start with, a very open, supportive type, try to create that type of environment. And sometimes it's sharing something about yourself, share an example where you've struggled a bit financially. That can tell someone it's a bit of a safe space. Sometimes a safe way to go is to talk about some financial literacy concept, maybe something you've just learned, or even just making sure, hey, are you aware of that new scam? It's Service Canada calling you or CRA calling, all these fake phone calls a lot of folks are getting these days. So it's kind of broaching the situation in a little bit of an indirect way. And sometimes it's just asking, hey, I know you're going through a lot right now. How are you managing financially? Because a lot of people won't bring up their finances unless they're, directly inquired about.
Okay, let's moving on to steps people can take to address a debt problem. What's your advice for that?
Yeah, two things to keep in mind. So one is to solve the problem, you really have to define it first. So you got to sit down, write down all of the accounts, the account numbers, the minimum payments, and whether there's any delinquency on them. And that's going to give you a sense of, what's the total size of the problem, whether it's just a few $1,000s, or when you add everything up, not from isolation altogether, whether it's something so significant the person would need help. The second step is to reach out for help. So to realize that licensed insolvency trustees can help anybody get a plan to be debt-free in less than an hour. You can get your questions answered. They'll put the misconceptions aside and have a good plan to move forward.
Blair, finally, what should you not do if you're helping someone solve a debt problem?
This is so important. So you've got to put the blame and the shame, all of that away. You really shouldn't give the impression to someone that you're judging them, you're looking down on them. You really want to create that supportive environment. People struggle for years with debt problems. They suffer anxiety, depression, even thoughts of suicide. So the best thing you can do is to be supportive. The worst thing you can do is to make them feel judged. Along with that is don't try to solve it on their behalf. So don't cash in your own assets. Don't go co-signing loans for somebody else. Just help them get the advice to solve it themselves.
Excellent advice, Blair Manson. Thank you so much, especially during this holiday season. We'll talk to you next time.
Thank you. My pleasure.